Welcome to Dragon Classroom. I am Dragon. I am going to tell you a story. The Red Thread of Fate. 命运的红线. In a remote village nestled deep within the misty mountains of southern China, there was an ancient legend about the red thread of fate. It was said that the gods tied an invisible red thread around the ankles of those destined to meet, binding their souls together across lifetimes. But the villagers also whispered of a darker tale, a thread that could bind the living to the dead. One autumn evening, a young woman named May returned to the village after years of studying in the city. Her grandmother, the village's revered storyteller, had passed away, and May had come to pay her respects. As she entered her grandmother's old home, she noticed a peculiar red thread tied around the leg of a wooden table. It was frayed and stained, as if it had been there for decades. That night, May dreamed of her grandmother. In the dream, the old woman sat by the hearth, her face pale and her eyes hollow. She whispered, "May, do not follow the thread. It is not for you." May awoke with a start, her heart pounding. The red thread was now lying on her pillow. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. May would hear faint whispers in the wind, calling her name. Shadows flickered in the corners of her vision, and the thread seemed to move on its own, coiling like a snake. One night, she awoke to find the thread tied around her ankle, leading out the door and into the forest. Against her better judgment, May followed the thread. It led her deep into the woods, where the air grew cold and the trees twisted into grotesque shapes. Finally, she arrived at a clearing where an ancient gnarled tree stood. At its base was a shallow grave, the earth freshly disturbed. The thread led into the grave. Trembling, May began to dig. Her hands clawed at the dirt until she uncovered a small rotting wooden box. Inside was a bundle of red threads, each tied to a small bone, finger bones to be exact. At the bottom of the box was a note written in her grandmother's handwriting. "The thread binds the living to the dead. Break it, and you free them. Follow it, and you join them." Suddenly, the whispers grew louder, and the shadows around her began to take shape. Figures emerged from the darkness, pale, ghostly forms with hollow eyes and outstretched hands. They were the ones bound by the threads, souls trapped between worlds. May realized the truth. Her grandmother had been a spirit weaver, someone who could manipulate the threads of fate to commune with the dead. But the power had come at a cost, and now the spirits demanded a new weaver to take her place. The red thread around May's ankle tightened, pulling her toward the grave. She screamed, clawing at the ground, but the spirits surrounded her, their cold hands grasping at her arms and legs. As the thread dragged her into the earth, May heard her grandmother's voice one last time. I warn you not to follow the thread. The next morning, the villagers found the grave undisturbed, but on the gnarly tree, a new red thread hung, swaying gently in the wind. If you like this story, come back for more. Thank you. Goodbye.